you ever used a map before? A map is a model on a flat surface. It is a representation or drawing of the Earth's surface, or part of it. It helps us to identify the plazas and locations within an area, helping us to navigate from one place to another. And have you ever seen a globe? Globe is a sphere that represents Earth's entire surface. It is the most scale three-dimensional model of the Earth. It shows the exact shape of the Earth, and also it shows the shape of the continents and oceans. Globe shows the locations of places on a smaller scale. In this lesson, we'll learn about maps and globes and how to use them. A map is a great tool. It helps to show us where we are. A map is a drawing of an area, and there are many different kinds of maps. You'll often see maps that shows areas of land, and geographical map can show things like water, mountains, and roads. A map is much smaller than the actual map it's showing. That's why symbols are often used to describe or represent common things. Shapes and colors are used to help us read maps. You can tell what each symbol means with a map key. And there are common symbols that are the same on almost all geographical maps. Water is usually drawn in blue, showing lakes, rivers, and oceans. Roads are usually drawn as lines showing the road. The road as well as tree, like this usually means there's a park there. Airports are represented with a picture of an airplane. So if you ever get confused about what is the symbol mean, you can always look at the map key for help. Because when you can read a map key, you can look at just about any places anywhere. On a map, north is usually at the top, south is at the bottom, east is to the right, and west is to your left. These directions are printed on a map and a clusters of arrows known as compass rod. It sort of looks like flower, showing north, south, east, and west, as well as in between directions of northeast, southeast, southwest, and northwest. Knowing on how to read a map and use a compass rod, you never have to be lost. You can always figure out which way to go. Now, we understand how to use basic geographical maps. And while using this map is great for mapping smaller parts of the Earth, they become less accurate. The larger the area, that's because the Earth itself isn't flat. Like all the planets in our solar system, our planet Earth is round. In order to accurately show a very large part of the Earth, or even the entire Earth, we need a different kind of map. And that includes the curving of the Earth. The simplest way to do this is to curve the map itself, making it as round as the Earth. We call this sort of map a globe. Because a globe is round, it's the only true way of showing the entire Earth. A globe like a flat map uses colors and symbols. For example, oceans and lakes are blue, land is green, brown, and orange. Globes have an imaginary grid system similar to the one used on maps. The grid can be used to find places on it all over the world. The curved lines that form grid on a globe are called lines of latitude and longitude. Lines of latitude go around the Earth. A helpful trick to remember this is they look like rungs on ladder. Ladder and latitude sound similar, so it's easy to remember.
Sometimes, Lines of latitude are also called parallels. The lines that run up and down a globe from the North Pole to the South Pole are called lines of longitude. Some people remember this by remembering that they are long lines, and longitude starts with the word long. Sometimes longitude lines are also called meridian. Latitude and longitude lines are measured in units called degrees. A degree is represented by a number plus these symbols. The line that runs around the very middle of the earth has a special name called the equator. The equator is at 0 degrees. Everything above the equator is called the northern hemisphere, and everything below the equator is called the southern hemisphere. The lines of latitude run from 0 degrees at the equator to 90 degrees at the poles. Any distance above the equator measured discrete is measured in degrees north, meaning the number of degrees of less is located north of the equator. South of the equator places are measured in the distance from the equator in degrees. South. Lines of longitude are measured in degrees from a point starting at 0, but unlike latitude, which finds its 0 mark from the naturally widest points of the earth, the equator starts at the 0 point. It's called the prime meridian. The prime meridian divides the earth into 2 halves, called hemispheres. The half of the earth to the east of the prime meridian is called the eastern hemisphere. Everything to the west of the prime meridian is called the western hemisphere. The lines east of the prime meridian in the eastern hemisphere are called degrees east, and the lines west of the prime meridian in the western hemisphere are called degrees west. On most globes, if you start going any directions from prime meridian, you will see that each line of longitude is marked in 15 degrees section. So 15 degrees east, then 30 degrees east, 15 plus 15, and so on, until we reach 180 degrees, which is the exact opposite side of the globe from the prime meridian. This spot exactly opposite the prime meridian is called the international deadline. Many flat maps also show the network of latitude and longitude lines, but map makers have always had a problem drawing an accurate flat map of the world. Why? Because the earth is round, but there is an interesting way to translate the earth's round surface onto a flat drawing. It's called map projections. Now, you've been introduced to some of the many kinds of maps and how to use maps and globes. With a little practice, you can be able to look at any place anywhere in the world.